The launch of Battlefield 6 is in full swing. It released just a few days ago on Friday, and it has received pretty good praise overall. Some here, some not here, some pros and cons about the launch, as well as some issues going around with the game, and some good news for EA and for the developers in terms of sales numbers. We're going to cover pretty much everything that I missed over the course of the weekend because I was out. I was hanging with some friends for a bachelor party. Shout out to Mike. And we are back, and now we're looking at some gaming news. And we were anticipating Battlefield 6, just like everyone else has been anticipating Battlefield 6. And today we're going to look at what's been going on, what happened over the weekend with the game, and whether or not EA's got some issues that they need to iron out in the future. If the entire fan base, for the most part, is satisfied with the game, we're going to take a look at as many things as possible. And I'm going to be summarizing a bunch of stuff because I don't want these videos to go on for too long. And I've got a few articles pulled up as well as some info from ChatGPT just to give me a more in-depth look. Because, like I said, I've not been paying attention to much over the weekend. I was busy hanging out with some friends. And yeah, now I'm downloading all the news. And now we're going to get into some Battlefield 6 stuff. So before we get into that, if you guys would be so kind as to like this video, if you guys do like it, and be sure to sub to the channel. We drop videos Monday through Friday at about 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we stream Saturday mornings at 9 in the morning. So we've got a couple GameRant articles, and shout out to GameRant with their implementation of this like AI assisted summary bit, which is super nice to kind of like get a TLDR of everything on it. We won't be too focused on that, and I'm going to be speed running through these a little bit more, and then just for like editing purposes and all that stuff. So Battlefield 6 is dominating the sales charts. Yes, indeed it is. We're going to take a look at some other numbers as we go through it, but Battlefield 6 is currently topping the sales charts for physical media in the United Kingdom. Cool. It's not surprising to see Battlefield 6 doing so well at the charts, as the title was one of the most eagerly awaited first-person shooters of the year. Absolutely it was. Same with, I would imagine, also Call of Duty Black Ops 7, I believe, is coming out in November. So we're going to have to see how both games kind of compete against one another pretty much towards the end of the year, especially with holidays coming up and Christmas coming up. I can't believe we're almost halfway through October. This year is blowing by super, super fast. So in terms of just like sales numbers, at least for the UK, this article in particular is just pointing out more UK sales figures. Battlefield 6 topping compared to everyone else, especially Ghosts of Yotai, which is kind of interesting. Heard some pretty good things about that game. Let's see what else. After a huge launch, Battlefield 6 appeared to be the best-selling game in the UK's physical games charts. It's nifty. The title was followed by the popular EA Sports FC 26 in the second spot, and by another recent release, Ghosts of Yotai, in third. Other games to appear in the top 10 were Mario Kart World, Super Mario Galaxy. Be sure to let me know, guys, if all the other games had been releasing within the past like few weeks, few months, even the smaller stuff, if some of them have been pretty good, just like blown your expectations out of the water, or if you guys are more focused on the more top tier AAA developer games, like again Battlefield or even Call of Duty coming out this year, or any other type of game like that. Because for me personally, the Nintendo games, especially the Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 kind of like remake or re-releases for the Switch 2, are kind of like meh. But yeah, I'm not sure which games are going to pop off for the remainder of this year and into next year. I'm kind of paying attention to I'm paying attention to as much as I can, but I'm not going to be able to play too much because of reasons that you all know. So let's go ahead and see a little bit more. So yeah, reports indicate that Battlefield 6 has made over $100 million from Steam alone on its release day, on Friday. And I assume, no, probably not, because games release maybe a few hours before on like Thursday night. But regardless, $100 million straight up. The pre-order numbers for the game were actually pretty impressive that we'll take a look at. But yeah, soon after the release, Battlefield 6 peaked at 747,440 simultaneous players on Steam. Just on Steam, which is pretty gnarly. So we're talking millions of players across all platforms playing concurrently. And I believe there is crossplay. You guys might have to fact check me on that. I assume in today's day and age, practically everything is, especially these kind of like, not necessarily competitive games, because there is that manner of victory and defeat, but it's more of like everyone's included in this just chaotic shooter war kind of thing. So while the title did not top these high initial numbers during the weekend, it's still quite popular with over 435,000 gamers playing on the platform at the time of this report. Yeah, it's leveled off more to like 500,000 people, which still pretty good. The game has only been out for a few days, so we're going to have to see how retention is maybe a month down the road, maybe towards the end of the year. And again, when sales figures probably going to pick back up during the holiday season, Christmas presents and whatnot. So we're going to see how pretty much every game is going to perform once we get towards the end of the year. So the end of this first article goes on to some more interesting information that we're going to cover right now. So that was pretty much this one. We're going to take a look at Battlefield 6 already has a cheater problem. So we saw back during the beta that they reported that they banned, I believe it was for the Battlefield 6 beta, that a lot of people came into the game armed with cheats left and right. And they banned approximately 330,000 accounts, 300,000 accounts, something to that number. People cheating, 100%. Now, we did not cover, I believe, not a more in-depth look into the anti-cheat for Battlefield 6. We did look into the anti-cheat for Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And I believe this one is called Javelin. Javelin uses a kernel-level anti-cheat software, which, again, I'm an enthusiast, a gamer, PC enthusiast. I have no idea. I understand kernel level is much more in-depth anti-cheats. We had talks about that during the launch of Valorant, and their anti-cheat is more in-depth software into one's computer. As to what that technically means, I'm not entirely sure. I'm willing to bet anyone can look up a YouTube video and get a more in-depth look from someone who knows a lot about what that specifically means. We just know that it is a significant under-the-hood thing in our computers that is a piece of software that is applied to it. And some people have scrutinized, some people have said this is a bit much, but nonetheless, this is where the market is kind of going for these anti-cheats for pretty much every company going out there. So kernel-level anti-cheat requiring extensive high-level permissions from the user's PC. Now, the game also, or rather the Javelin anti-cheat system, also requires players to enable secure boot setting to play Battlefield 6's beta, so naturally during the game. Now, what we found out about Secure Boot is that it is on by default for Windows 11 PCs. If you have a Windows 10 PC, like me, shout out to just one more day until all of that is up in flames, but Secure Boot is enabled on Windows 11 PCs from the get-go, so everyone's good with that. I believe you have to go into the BIOS to enable it if you have Windows 10. Regardless, it's got that's nonetheless built into it, and I have no idea what Secure Boot is. Again, there's probably a video covering that, but nonetheless, there's still a massive amount of, maybe not massive, but there's still plenty of people that can get around it with cheats. Begs the question what we can even do to combat this. We're going to have to wait and see how the Call of Duty anti-cheat, what was it called again? I believe this tweet said Ricochet. We're going to have to see which one's better at this point. Javelin, Ricochet, because Ricochet, as we covered in a previous video, they're using machine learning algorithms that I just took as AI inside the anti-cheat that's going to be able to read players' inputs a lot more fine-tunedly, I guess, and maybe can perform better as an anti-cheat. Hard to say. But as it happens right now, there's still a decent amount of cheaters that came fully equipped, and then there shows this video real quick about some cheats that someone posted here on X. Turn that down a little bit. My bad. And so, as you can see, there's plenty of box outlines just throughout the entire map, which is 100% a cheat. But yeah, so, a bit of a yikes. Bit of a yikes. So, plenty of that in the game, which is unfortunate. And I believe, yeah, EA revealed it blocked over 330,000 cheating attempts within the game, I believe, during the beta. And also received 100,000 reports of cheaters within its first 2 days of the beta. So plenty of that happening, and then I'm assuming, I don't think they put out any numbers, but people have noticed, yes, there are still cheaters in the game at launch. So, you know, bit of an issue. Like I've said before, and like we all kind of know at this point, cheating and anti-cheat is just a game of cat and mouse. If you implement something, they're going to figure out a way to overcome it. Anti-cheat's going to have to figure out a way to fight that back, and then on and on and on we go. So we're going to see how well they're going to be able to combat that, but that's just one issue. Another issue that kind of popped up was the EA app had an outage, I suppose, or some weird thing where people had bought the game, pre-ordered the game, whatever, and they were using the app, and then for some reason it just wouldn't let them launch the game, I suppose. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but nonetheless, Battlefield 6, the devs are offering compensation for those people that were affected. I believe some people were also affected on Steam with it, but nonetheless, kind of good that they're able to not only see that and give some compensation, but they also fixed it, I think. Saying the launcher, in the early hours of trying to play the game, Battlefield 6 players complained about the EA app, stating that the launcher was telling them they didn't own the game yet and thus couldn't play. The developers had since patched this problem, so players should no longer be stuck in the EA app. However, they're going a step further by compensating with some goodies. Those who were impacted will receive 12 hardware and 12 career 60-minute boosters, XP boosters, which will arrive during the weekend to players in game boxes. So, cool. Awesome. I believe they also gave Battle Pass something like a free one. What players may like even more is that the game will be giving impacted players full access to a seasonal Battle Pass. Cool. Keeping in mind that some of those who were unable to access the game due to the glitch already have access to that pass. Those who purchased the Phantom Edition Battlefield 6 will be given a Season 2 full Battle Pass for free. So, kind of nice. A bunch of boosters, a bunch of cosmetics. I'm not sure what's in the Battle Passes because I don't have the game, so I'm not paying attention to what's going on inside of it, but nonetheless, kind of cool. Little bit of a boost for a minor issue. Aside from that, there was also queues, like we've already noted, there's millions of people playing the game at launch, so servers were taking a massive hit, which should be expected, to be honest. But yeah, so real quick, let's see what else. However, the game seems to be off to a good start in terms of attracting players, though there's 700,000 current players. We already knew this. So launch-wise, feels pretty good. It's running into issues. Day one launches, you're going to have the cheaters pop up. You're going to have server issues. So it's like, nonetheless, kind of a mid-road experience with a game like this, of this caliber, by this developer, of this series, that we've seen time and time again. So if you guys are enjoying the launch of the game, be sure to let me know in the comments. The weekend is come and gone. Its initial launch weekend, sales numbers are up, which we're still going to take a look at real quick. And nonetheless, the reception is kind of like I've said, in the middle of the road. It's not everyone loves this game, buy this game is awesome, and it's not don't buy this, it's a piece of crap. It's more or less in the middle, and we've got some info both from SteamDB and from the Steam page for Battlefield 6. Reviews currently, and I did not know this, but SteamDB adds reviews that aren't necessarily from purchasers, which I thought was kind of fascinating. Steam only applies the review rating, and I believe the reviews from people who actually bought the game. So currently on Steam, from purchasers, of about 32,000 reviews is an 82% very positive rating. But on SteamDB, however, it is down to a 74.97 because it includes a bunch more reviews. 68,000 reviews, basically 2x the amount. Still 500,000 people in the game, and it's more or less at peak. It's a little bit past peak. Peak for today was just a few hours ago at about 550,000 concurrent plays on Steam at least. So not bad. It's not a mixed review rating, which would spell all kinds of issues because, again, this goes all the way back to, 2 weeks ago at this point, maybe, about the EA acquisition, even though Battlefield 6 is very much on the peripheral, I guess, under the whole umbrella of EA, but nonetheless, it is a huge franchise and a huge title where its performance is going to matter in the long run when it comes to who they're gonna cut from the umbrella of EA, who they're gonna keep, what they're gonna fine tune, what they're going to allow to kind of like do their own thing, and which ones are going to be heavily scrutinized by the new owners, quote unquote, of EA from the acquisition. So looks like, at least at this point, and again, this is going to have to evolve over the next couple of months until we hit the holiday season. Currently, it's looking pretty good. Estimating sales are going to probably go up as more time goes on, and whether or not they handle these issues with the cheaters and whatnot. But like I said before, the sales numbers, we have about 1.8 million copies roughly right now that have been sold for actually for pre-sales on Steam in particular. So that's not including all the consoles at least. So 1.8 million copies We're talking over $100 million, which totally makes sense with 747,000 concurrent players, about half of that on at one time, the other half, whatever. Definitely depending on what time zone anyone's in, whether or not, they're up and ready to play. Over the course of the weekend, not everyone's going to be playing, but nonetheless, these numbers seem about right. So sales, pretty good. Concurrent players early after launch, 500,000 people within the first 25 to 30 minutes on Steam. Sure, makes sense. Number one best-selling game globally and in the US on Steam at launch. Sure, I can totally see that. Estimated first week sales, about 5 million units estimated. So far, so good. Like I said, pre-sales on Steam actually were pretty huge. I guess everyone felt like pre-ordering the game, which, sure, why not? If the beta was good, all the marketing feels good, then sure. I can understand pre-orders for some games. People are going to put into it no matter how many times they've been disappointed by whoever, even though Battlefield has had some ups, some downs based on whatever game has come out within the franchise. So sure, people felt Battlefield 6 might be the turnaround, and so far it's kind of feeling like that. Gameplay looks good. The gunplay, the classes feel somewhat satisfying. The only two rumblings within the game that I've seen so far have been the campaign is not that good, which, sure, oh well. I was kind of hoping the campaign was going to be okay. I believe we made a video about that, or that was a little snippet about a week or two ago. And there were some inspirations that they were pulling from media, from movies and TV shows to kind of incorporate into that, but I guess it didn't hit for some people. Oh well. And then another was the guns. It had something to do with the way you were able to customize them. Like they were open-ended or they were closed-ended customization for the weapons. And some people were going back and forth with that. And then on top of that, maps. I forgot about maps. People feel the maps are too tight, too small. Someone said, what was it? It wasn't battlefield, but it was a smaller word than field. And I was like, oh, okay, that's actually a pretty interesting way to put it. I think it was a Steam review that I was looking at, and I was like, that's actually kind of funny. But that's been a bit of the issues between players at this point, is that they just don't feel nearly as big. They feel claustrophobic, which, okay, might be an issue, but with the inclusion of the portal system into the game, it's going to allow people a lot of customization that I think is going to maybe alleviate that, or at the very least, if people get kind of bored of the same old shooter sort of thing, then maybe these new maps or game modes that people can design will nonetheless evolve the game a little bit more. Hard to say, but yeah, so far game's looking good. And again, this goes back to this war that I've been kind of posing between AAA games and indie games, and whoops, my bad. And now with this launch, it feels like AAA may have come back a little bit more. They might have taken back a little bit of the, not really the market share, but the sentiment, I guess, about the overall gaming market. Indie games have been doing really, really solid, and now maybe Battlefield 6 has kind of reclaimed some of that lost land, as a way to put it. So again, we're going to have to see how the rest of the game unfolds. The updates coming in, I believe I guess season 1 of Battlefield's coming out at the end of October, roughly, within like 2 weeks or so. So we're going to see how well the game performs over the course of time, what's going to happen when Call of Duty Black Ops 7 comes out, how the market share is going to start shifting around based on these two very popular franchises, as well as Battlefield's Battle Royale, which was still teased and still not, I think, implemented yet. So we're going to see how all that unfolds over the next couple of months, but currently looking good. So, all right, finally, some hope in the world. So with that, dudes, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to give this video a like if you guys like it, and be sure to sub for more. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I'm out of here. You guys have a good rest of your day. I will see you guys tomorrow for some more gaming news. Until then, I will see you guys later.